stay.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. They see me rolling.
Switching gears back over to the area that we had forestry mulched. This particular corner, they didn't get into the corner too deep and really clean up everything, and that was intentional because the ground is not flat at all right around here. It's really lumpy and bumpy, and we have their underground electrical service. One of the ground mount boxes, the junction boxes that they use, is right there, and we really didn't want anything to hit that, whether it was the skid steer or anything falling on top of it. So everything we're doing here is just basically the same thing as the forestry mulcher, just in a much more controlled fashion. This group of trees right here, there's a maple and a sweet gum and some other small stuff. It's all vine damaged. It just doesn't look good. There's nothing saying leave this here. And I've got some future plans for this little bit of an area, so they had to come down. One of them was a maple tree, so I saved all the wood from it, as much of the wood as I can from it, to chop up for the smoker. So this wood isn't going to waste by any means. But with it gone, we have a much better visual into the mulched pine area. And like I said, I've got some plans for this little area right here. I just don't know when I'll get around to it. As you come up the driveway, that group of trees that just didn't belong kind of blocked your view. But with those gone, you can see how the trees around the driveway kind of frame the driveway and frame this view into those cleared pines in the back or further along. And it just kind of gives it this almost like this grand feeling of the trees in the driveway just opening up into this much larger viewing area that has much longer lines of sight. So the driveway kind of frames your focus into those pines, and I really like how this looks. We got our first rain in a while, in a long time. Can you see where they put the electricity line? I knew that was going to happen. Everything was just so dusty. Anytime you dig a hole, dig a trench, and try and put the dirt back in it, even if you put something else in there, you're never going to fill it in. I knew this was coming. No big deal. I'm going to get a rear blade for the tractor and just drag it on angle and fill that in. Today, sorry if my hands are shaky, I've been wearing myself out with that. Today, I went down this whole side of the driveway, and all of the large trees, I just found another one. Daggum. This tree right there, there's another vine. Today's vine day. I'm getting all the vines cut at the bases of these trees so they'll die in the tree rather than pull them down. Here's a good example, right? We've got these two large, beautiful hardwoods that extend over the driveway. So I don't know if you can tell, but this tree right here, those leaves look totally different than those leaves. These are nice, bushy, wide leaves, and these are not. These are leaves of a walnut tree. I believe that's a walnut tree. I think so. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. But anyway, all of this is vines. I just took the time to get into this tree, got all the vines around here, and found out that that tree and that one are wrapped in barbed wire. So there was at least a fence in between these two, which gives me an indication of where it went along this line of the driveway. Anyway, I got two done, and I'm gonna go this way and get that one and that one and that one. But first I gotta get, where did it go? That one. So these fuzzy vines like this, that's poison ivy. So what I've been doing, let's see if I can do this one-handed, is chopping the base. All right, disconnect it at the base, then I'll work my way up. I can't do this one-handed. There we go. And pull off a section of it. Now, technically speaking, this side can't get nutrients from this side anymore, so everything north of this or higher than it should die. But I like to give it another foot or two. I feel really clumsy doing this with one hand. There we go. So there. Get out of my way, sticks. Vine is terminated. This one will not grow. Now this smaller one will. Now the smaller one won't. And I'll work my way around the tree to make sure. This vine right here is driving me nuts. So maybe we can maybe we can just push it just slightly and then let's go. All right. I'm gonna work my way around the tree. I don't know what that sound is. Every time we come out here, we identify a new animal sound. I feel like I haven't been behind the camera much this week because so much stuff going on, as expected. So we are kind of in limbo on figuring out the shop dirt pad. I got to get someone in here to grade it properly and flatten it. It was never finished when the pad was installed. So that has to happen. I've been trying to line up the concrete guy to come out here and take a look at it and figure out what needs to be done. Again, dealing with somebody else's schedule is always kind of chaotic and crazy. I'm on the top of my truck, by the way. Just getting a better view of what's going on up here. It's fun to just kind of look around and see the progress and see what else needs to be done. Just kind of take a bird's eye view of everything and just take it all in, because there's so much stuff going on. So much stuff going on. We got rain finally. So remember when we were forestry mulching all this in the last video and it was just an absolute insane dust cloud? Well, we got rain, so the dust has subsided, and because of which I spent a little bit of time out here in the 2-acre clearing in the middle of it trying to clean it up with a box blade. Let me spin you around and give you a bird's eye overview, I guess you could say, of this whole 2-acre clearing, and then I got to get to work. Just to recap everything, we mulched over here so we could see through the driveway. That's an awesome decision, I think. Coming up the driveway, this is where we normally stage all of our stuff because this has the most amount of shade. That is south, so these trees do a good job of shading while we don't have a structure out here just yet. This is the root ball graveyard is what I'm calling it, where I started rolling the root balls out of from these big trees over to there. That filled up, so I had to cut a trail in here to push the root balls over there. That is a tremendously time-consuming operation, rolling the root balls, rolling the root balls, rolling. So we brought in something else I'll talk about in just a second. This is a yard glider, super cool, super handy. But this, I'm not sure if I want to extend this trail off into something else or simply use all of these root balls as a backstop to put my plates up right there and have that as our shooting range area. If I pile the root balls behind it, then all of the root balls can take the shrapnel and all that stuff, and of course it'll be a backstop to prevent stuff from going further. So I think that's what we're leaning towards, is that's going to be the shooting range area. Then right off to this side over here is the last pile of logs to go out of here. Well, actually this pile as well as this pile. This is the last of the logs. So I don't know if you remember, but I was stacking stuff over here as I was cleaning up. That's completely gone. So in between these two piles of logs is an old burn pile with a few root balls on it, and that's for my daughter to play with. She wants to jump around and play with those root balls. That's fine. And then down here is our last burn pile that we've been burning to get rid of the rest of the root balls. And in the middle, you don't see any root balls. Finally, no logs, no root balls, very little debris. Been doing a lot cleaning this up. What else do we have going on? On this side over here, all of this is cleaned up as far as the tree debris, as far as major stuff that'll burn. I do have one more burn pile over here that I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with because I made the mistake of stacking a couple larger rotting logs on top, which prevents me from pulling the smaller stuff on the bottom to mulch it or chip it. So I'm not sure what we're going to do with that. This still needs a little bit of cleanup work over here, and I've got a tree that I need to take down over there that's dying from beetles. Beetles is not a huge problem, but I've identified a few trees that are in need of removal, I guess you could say. And here we are back at the driveway. So let me, I don't know where to get started. I've got so many different options. I've got to keep doing some more box blade stuff over here and dig out one more small tree that was in the middle of the burn pile and never burned up, which is kind of wild. It's basically a super strong sled that you can pull behind anything. And this seems to be the best combo for us here on the property. My wife has been using this a lot. Pulling it behind the side-by-side. She finds loading the sticks up on here to be way easier to load up than the box on the or the bed on the side-by-side. Not only is it easier to load up, you can load up more, and it's just as easy to empty, right? So on the bed of the side-by-side, you can just tilt the bed. It's a dump bed, but on this one, you just pick up one side and roll it over. So it's pretty darn easy to use. The main reason I got it is to move these root balls, or move them from over there to basically where they're at now. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to use it for the majority of the root balls because I just underestimated how large these are. These are just freaking huge and heavy. So the lift capacity of my tractor is 2,200 pounds at the loader, the front loader. And of course, that's just the manufacturer's lifting capacity, right? You can do a little bit more than what the numbers state on basically everything, like a truck. How many times have you seen a half ton truck pulling what should be pulled by like a 3/4 ton or a 1 ton, right? You can overload them. It's not safe to do, and it's not recommended by the manufacturer, but you can do it, right? You can do it. So that being said, I know these root balls are heavy. I know that they are stupid heavy because there's several of these in this pile that my tractor cannot pick up. Absolutely cannot pick up. Well, the lift capacity on my tractor is right at 2,200 pounds, and I believe the weight capacity of the yard glider was like 2,300 pounds, something like that. They're very, very similar. And I used it to move a few of the larger root balls with no problems. But then I got to where all I had left was the super large ones, and I'm thinking, do I really want to tear this thing up just to test it? No, I kind of don't. The yard glider ended up being super handy for us, so I don't want to tear it up. And my biggest concern with tearing it up isn't necessarily being able to pull it. It's the fact, it's basically the problem is the shape of the root balls. The shape of the root balls is, you know, you got roots on one side which are kind of twisty and pokey in certain areas, and then on the other side of the actual root sticking down, you have the stump. So my thinking was you're going to have a very small contact point on the yard glider to where you have all of this force and all of this pressure onto one little area, and I don't want that little area to snag or rip or whatever just because I'm overloading a smaller spot versus distributing the weight amongst the entire yard glider. So I didn't use it for a lot of the root balls that I thought I would use it for, just because, I mean, these things are huge, right? This one right here is at its highest point taller than I am. Well, it depends on which way I hold the camera, but I promise you that's taller than my hat right now. That's a huge root ball, absolutely huge root ball. And I don't think that's the biggest one. I think there's one more in here that's larger on its side. Yeah, so this one right here is on its side, but when it was standing up, it was taller than I am. Anyway, I didn't want to tear it up, so I didn't use it on all of the root balls. One of the downsides of burning the root balls is this right here. So there's all that dirt and crap on the actual wood itself. Well, what is dirt in Mississippi? It's clay. What happens when you put clay into a kiln? Basically, it hardens like a rock. So all of these bigger chunks of clay, these are like art class kiln dried clay. It's just so hard. So every time you have a fire, you have to kind of mix and push stuff around and get all this crap out of here because it falls off the root balls and then clogs up the fire. It's a process getting rid of these things. I'm going to take advantage of this complete cloud cover day, jump on the tractor, and drive around in circles for a couple hours. By scraping this top layer off and just piling it up elsewhere, we're checking a lot of boxes. Number one, we're filling in holes where trees used to be. Number two, all of this organic matter that's left in here, if it's big enough I can pull out just grabbing it. I probably will. I'll probably throw that on the burn pile just to get rid of stuff like this. But number two, all this other small organic matter where I'm not going to take my time to pick all those small pieces. I'm not going to take my time to pick through all that. So letting it sit like this over the winter will allow it to stay wet during the rainy season, stay in contact with dirt, and hopefully decompose pretty quick. I think that all this stuff is going to break down really quick over the winter. And another box that it checks is I'm essentially making a playground for my daughter. She likes to come out here and climb on stuff, which is great, no problem at all. So there's a dirt mound for you. Go get dirty. My daughter's a girly girl who absolutely loves to get dirty. Concrete guy was supposed to come last Saturday and check this out and didn't do that. And then supposed to show up this week. Well, today's Friday and he hasn't showed up yet. So the joys of being on other people's schedules. Anyway, I need to get the concrete guy to get out here to tell me what needs to be done to this pad. I've never laid concrete like this before. I don't know what else needs to be done to this pad. I think it needs to be leveled, and I'm not sure if it needs to be expanded all the way around it. But anyway, I'm waiting for input on that from the person who's actually going to be doing the concrete work. I smoothed out a little bit of this around the outside of here, and of course the whole clearing is scraped, and that makes me smile. That makes me smile pretty good. That was a long process getting it to where it is. Still need to clean up this, but whatever, at our convenience. These piles, probably said it several times, but I'm gonna let them sit over the winter in the holes to compact, and I may spread them out, I don't know, to be honest with you. The pad is elevated, so all the runoff or water should stay away from the structure, which is good. There's a little bit of a swell, is that what that's called? Swale? Underneath over there on that side to direct the water that way to the ditch on the driveway. Everything's looking good. But I think I am done playing in the dirt for today. Oh, correction, not done playing in the dirt today. I need to go over there to where the culvert is in the driveway and dig out some of the ditch. So here's something a little bit funny about making videos. You gotta stage everything you do for the camera's sake, right? So I set up the camera, and the shot that I'm trying to get is driving the tractor from the clearing down the driveway towards the camera. So I just set the camera, and now I can drive back to where I'm starting to stage the shot, and then I'm dealing with horse flies, so I keep a hat with me on the tractor so I can smack the horse flies. That's a distraction. And as I'm driving back to actually get the shot, I realize, you know what, there is a small little hole or a little depression in the driveway I should really take care of. So while I'm at it, might as well just go ahead and box blade a little bit, and then a little bit turned into a little bit more than a little bit, and then you forget about what you're doing, and oh yeah, okay, go back to the very beginning and turn around so you can actually get the shot that you're trying to get, which is this shot right here. Here's where I needed to dig out a little bit on the ditch, and this isn't 100% necessary. The water does get out of here, but when the water starts to subside quite a bit in the ditch itself, at the corner in the background, it does hold a little bit of water. Nothing to be too concerned about because it's not a tremendous amount, but I don't really want to have any spots in the ditch holding water if I can help it. So I wanted to dig this side down just a little bit, and I think honestly the culvert is a little bit too high. I think the culvert needs to be dropped by about 6 inches or so. On the exit side of the culvert, there's plenty of elevation to where that 6-inch drop should be just fine. And I think that'll completely eliminate any standing water in this ditch. Let me show you how distracted I got. So my plan was to just dig this ditch a little bit deeper. Just from there to there, it needed to be just a little bit deeper to keep the water flowing. So I was throwing all the dirt up there. My plan was to come back with the box blade up on top of that surface and just pull it away from the ditch. Just pull all that away. And I went to go set up the camera and completely got distracted. So this is where the culvert comes out, and this is what I'm going to call mud hole trail. This was not intentional today. There was a kind of a, well, about that wide. There's a little bit of a ditch that was dug by the excavator, but I got to thinking, I was like, well, I don't have an excavator, and if I need to clean this out, it needs to be the full width of the tractor. So here we go, let's make it the full width of the tractor. Came down here with the tractor and was just pushing dirt, using the bucket and the box blade. Pushed a little off ramp over here, that way I could turn around and come in from the other way, yada yada yada. And here we go. It's not level. There's some high spots in here that'll stop water, but all of this is deeper than what was originally here, which is fine. I'll just keep chipping away at it and getting this deeper and deeper to facilitate water leaving. But it's also what I'm going to call something like the mud hole trail, something like that, because I know after some rain this is going to be a muddy, sticky mess. And I've got some friends who like to mud ride, and there you go. There's your trail on the property. Keep tearing it up, keep doing what you want to do. That's fine, because all this is going to do is help get water away from that culvert. And right about here, is the lowest spot. So water will continue to come here, and then it's probably not going to show up on camera, but there's like a little bit of a ditch going that way. So water can still go. It shouldn't pool here at all. Here, right here is a little bit of a impression coming across right here, getting water that way. But I thought, you know what? I think this is going to come out right at that first trail we cut. The first leg of the perimeter trail that we cut. And lo and behold, here we are. Connected the dots a little bit. Nice little cut through. I like it. This is a nice little plateau area that would be pretty good for primitive camping once I flatten this out. It's nice and elevated, so you shouldn't get any water on the ground standing. And then also it's right in the middle of all these beautiful, beautiful pines. So the video I shot with the JU Fabworks Universal Workmaster with D-rings. Let's see, where is it? One of these, oh, right there. That's the vine that, let's see, right? Yeah, that's the vine that I hooked to and it broke. And this is the tree that had a bunch of vines in it already that I pulled a bunch of stuff down on. So we come up over here. Like I said, this was that little plateau area. Elevated spot, pretty good for camping. I think so anyway. And it connects all the way through. I don't know if it's going to show up. Let's see if I can't get a spot right about here. See that lighter colored green? That's the driveway. That's the light shining through on the driveway. So we're not too far from it. And I don't have the GoPro with me, so sorry if this is shaky. What a nice little trail. Tell you what, that box blade, that's a trail maker. The box blade combination with the, or the box blade with the piranha bar, that combination, that's a nice trail making combination. The piranha bar knocks everything over, uproots the small trees, and the box blade smooths the trail behind you. Nice trail. Right about here is where I expect it to continuously stay muddy. So yeah, this is one of those trails that I probably won't ever go down, because I'm not a big fan of mud. But my friends are, and hey, you guys want to tear some stuff up? Just dig that trail deeper for me. Get some ruts. I'll pull you out, that's fine. But there you go. Nice little trail. Comes out at the culvert. I got all this cleaned up so where water should drain properly. That's good. It's fun to look through these trees. Every time I get to this clearing, I'm like, oh, I can see through it. It's nice. I took a maple tree down right here. It wasn't that large, but 8, 10, 12 inches in diameter, something like that. Because this is kind of a focal point area when you come up the driveway, and we've got some plans for this spot, and it does not include a maple tree, so that had to go. But everything's starting to take shape. It's starting to really feel like a destination, really feel like a home. I think so anyway. Shop's not even up yet, and I'm already thinking it feels like home. I love how the driveway just kind of curves around, and you got a long line of sight for people coming in and leaving. I can picture a tree house up there, my daughter up there, and when Papa comes to visit, her up here waiting on him, seeing him the whole way up, anticipation building by the time they get up there. Ah, fun stuff.